What does it mean to be LGBT in Nigeria? What are the implications, social, political, legal? Today we seek to answer those questions through the lens of the work of the Initiative for Equal Rights. My name is Arit Okpo and you're watching Untold Facts.
We've had about 105 different...
You may come out to your friends and to your family, but you may still not have come out to yourself.
You don't hold the world an explanation for being who you are.
LGBT rights are human rights. Now, somebody called me and said, they said I look gay. I said, what does gay look like?
Ability to be human, access to care, access to housing,
Education. Yes. There is an agenda.
You can continue to stay at your home battle. You do not need any passport.
I'm sitting here with Abayomi Aka. He is the Human Rights and Legal Officer for TEARS, and we're going to be talking about the work that you do. And through that, I'm hoping we can take a look at what it means to really be LGBT in Nigeria. Yeah. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about your work.
Okay, so I work for the Initiative for Equal Rights as the Human Rights Officer to start with. Okay, so basically by virtue of the target population that we work with in the Initiative for Equal Rights, we tend to advocate, seek protection and recognition of rights for sexual minorities. Okay. And through this, we achieve it via capacity building, advocacy, and support basically education. And interpreting that in all terms, we do a whole lot of things. So we do quite a lot at the Initiative for Equal Rights, and one of the things we do is we render legal representation to persons who are in need of it, specifically sexual minorities, and we also have community-based paralegals who tend to do the work. I mean, we can't identify everybody based on the social climate and the legal climate that we have in Nigeria. So we tend to have community-based paralegals who tend to do the work, and give us feedback, documentation of rights violation based on perceived or real sexual orientation and gender identity expression, and quite a few other things. And we also engage at the regional level and at the international space, basically seeking for recognition of rights of persons, human beings, first of all, before anything else.
Your work is really, really extensive. I don't think a lot of people understand the scope of it.
No, a lot of people don't actually.
So let's talk about this first from the legal perspective. What are the legal implications of somebody being LGBT in Nigeria? Okay,
first thing first, I know we have a whole lot of people who talk about these issues, but then they fail to always recognize one thing which is different from every other laws and above every other law that exists. Identity in Nigeria is not illegal.
Great.
You can be LGBT and not be an illegal entity in Nigeria.
Okay.
It is the act or the activities or the affairs that is tendered or regarded as illegal.
Okay.
According to the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act of 2014, we have a prohibition of civil unions, marriages, assemblies, organizations supposedly aiding and abetting LGBT work or LGBT persons who want to get married in Nigeria. And secondly, nobody really is interested. Well, from the survey that we carried out, most people are really not interested in that, so I'm surprised why that law is in existence.
Well, if we start to talk about that law, we'll probably be here for about 2 days. And I really want to focus on the great work you're doing. So why do so many people get arrested for real or perceived orientation? Why does that happen then?
I think it's mainly ignorance.
Okay.
And then the fear that looms within the society.
Yeah.
According to traditions, supposedly traditions, norms, lifestyle, and social environment, people categorically or generally who identify as LGBT or seen or perceived to be within the community are seen as illegal and outrightly an abomination to society. So most people don't know the rights. I mean, we have our constitution there, we have the human rights, fundamental rights provisions that exist. Nigerians don't really have so much information on that aspect.
So they're harassed and
they are susceptible to being harassed, to being arbitrarily abused by both state and non-state actors in so many ways. I mean, I can count. This year alone, we recorded about 247 cases of violence meted out on persons with real or perceived sexual orientation or gender identity. Goodness. And those are the documented ones.
Exactly.
We don't even have idea of the ones that are not even documented or the extent with which this typology of cases can go. So it's really, really a wide spectrum and a whole lot of intricacies involved with LGBT persons in Nigeria. So with that aspect of not being aware of the rights, they find themselves as being at the bottom of the food chain, bottom of the rights recognition within the
Yes,
space,
yes.
thus allowing themselves being blackmailed, allowing themselves being harassed and arbitrarily abused by police officers, and a whole lot of range, mob attack, the likes of a kidnapping, creative rape, and the likes of those kind of cases of violence.
It's all like, I think one of the saddest things is just seeing the impunity with which a
yes.
lot of these acts are carried out. And many times, especially when these actions are taken out by non-state actors, there is a confidence that nothing will be done to them,
Yes.
you know. So my next question then is, I'm not looking for trouble, but I really want to know why people are so comfortable. You know, we've talked about people being ignorant of their rights, but then the people that carry out these acts also are not afraid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They, like I said, based on the traditional views and then the social cultural views that we have in Nigeria, people feel confident to actually impede on other people's rights based on their beliefs, and they feel they're acting. Most people believe they're trying to purify Nigeria of these ills, whereas you forget that sexuality is but a minute percentage of who you are. It doesn't make up your entirety. And when you talk about mating violence on persons who don't even on a normal day, it's not what they're about. It's a bit, would I say, alarming.
It's very
for,
alarming.
to have people that are, and then they act in confidence because these laws exist. One, two, they don't even understand the laws. They just follow the headlines. Same-sex marriage prohibition act. Same-sex. What's the meaning of same-sex? Gay people. Oh, real
So that
or
makes it
perceived.
okay.
Let's deal with this person. Let's beat him up. Let's extort him. This person himself is also afraid. He doesn't know what to do. Let's capitalize on that. Let's take advantage to the fullest extent. So it's more of like a the victim helping the predator, because what both of you don't have information, both of you don't even know what it is. The predator is acting based on the information, headlines and acts, and sensationalized information by the media. And then the victim sees this and goes what further runs on the ground, giving space for all of this kind of atrocities to occur.
Do you think that social opinions have evolved or gotten more friendly towards LGBT people? Because it does seem like we're having more, and a lot of it is the great work you guys do, but it seems like we're getting more conversations, more series or movies. Alternative narratives. So do you think that, people are becoming more open and more inclusive in their thinking?
Okay, first, like at Tears, we try to use alternative narrative to further explain things at the most simplistic and most basic level. We realize social media, pop culture, and a few other narratives like that is a huge means to actually get into your target in Nigeria. Right now, everybody's on their phone. You can be with like 5 persons and just one person is like really engrossed in the conversation right there and then. The other 4 are literally on their phone. So we see that as a means to actually get across to people by producing, web series that discuss and educate persons on issues of LGBT persons, feature films that show the reality of persons within the space of the Nigerian context, and a whole lot of other instances just to educate people. So that alone is one huge aspect.
What kind of feedback do you get when you put out these series, or, these alternative narratives? What kind of feedback are you getting?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't lie. When we first had our first screening for Hell or High Water, which was a short film we produced, I think, about 2016/2017. We had a premiere and we had people come screen it live. And the responses were actually amazing. We had a lady literally say she never put a Nigerian face to LGBT issues or LGBT persons. And now that she can see through movies and the short clip that we had on, that people actually live these realities in Nigeria, that it tends to change the dynamics for her, realizing that these people are first humans before anything. And then another instance of how we try to get social perception is through the NIL polls, which we carry out on a yearly basis. And as of 2016, about 93% of Nigerians still believe homosexuality is a Western import or construct. And thus, it kind of still sways conversations to a certain extent. But then, as time goes by, as these issues are discussed in places as LGBT issues come up, we see that even within the community, there's a whole lot of visibility. Lately, people now just don't care.
Yes.
They are tired of being repressed. They're
Yes.
tired of being victimized. They just want to live their true selves.
Yes.
But then, not forgetting the violence and the stigma, the discrimination that comes with it. But like I said, the polls are to get perceptions of persons, and also we had 83% of persons who said they wouldn't mind or wouldn't have a problem knowing somebody who is LGBT, meaning that, yeah, they might not like the whole concept of being LGBT, but then the idea of seeing
Someone
the
that they-
humanity
Yes.
in this person's
Yes.
gives them the liberty. Okay, fine, maybe this person is my brother, this person is my sister. I would or might consider this person to be in or cohabit with me in the same space. But then we still have persons who still are vehemently against being LGBT and think that is something that is not of this part of the world and like a Western import. So
It's still...
yeah, still sways.
I heard a conversation recently about somebody who said he was very anti-LGBT rights. And so the person he was speaking to said, okay, you do understand that what this means in everyday terms is that LGBT people cannot have housing or
Yes.
health access to health care.
Even
they
justice
cannot,
systems, they can't access
justice.
justice systems.
And then the person who said he was anti-LGBT rights thought about it and said, no, but that's not fair. Do you think... It was
not
very,
fair.
you know,
Yeah.
because when he was confronted with the reality, he realized that his perspective was actually...
Yeah.
So to what extent can we bring the humanity, as you're saying, of LGBT people into the conversation? How can we show the real life implications of anti-LGBT sentiment and actions?
I think we've already been doing it, probably not enough with the production of alternative narratives. I know we have a queer women's narrative now called She Called Me Woman. That's an amazing book. Like,
really
I read it over and over again. Because what? We are now there, you see visibility now. People are now coming out. People are inspired when they see productions like this, like Untold Facts and the likes of the others that we have on YouTube and on our website. They realize, I mean, it's not so bad being gay in Nigeria after all. If I portray myself in a manner that is respecting and becoming of a human being, people tend to see the humanity in me. If we tend to show these alternative narratives and show the reality people, I mean, take for instance Hello High Water. This is a pastor who, based on social expectations, got married, lived the life, but what? Ultimately was not happy.
Yes.
He tried as much as possible to hide his true self, but he couldn't. He just had to just give in. And that's just the reality that people face. And that's what I think as CSOs, non-governmental organizations, activists and advocates for sexual minorities in Nigeria, I think these are the things we need to churn out more and also collaborate with a whole lot of mainstream organizations that work on rights, you know, to infuse the LGBT into the broader human rights mainframe.
Yes.
I think when we have a whole lot of that and visibility, even from the community, because when you talk about these issues in certain spaces, they'll be like, but we don't know any one of them. I don't know why these conversations come up or wanting to identify people particularly, but then if the community still shows a bit more visibility, I think we would change perceptions and change narratives, change ideas, and, you know, basically even policies.
That's very true. Just Tears do any work with organizations, state agencies such as the police or hospitals, service providers who many times are just as guilty in violating the human rights of LGBT people?
Oh yes, of course. We work with the police. Currently we're even on a project to sensitize state actors along the Lagos-Abidjan corridor, because we tend to get a whole lot of violence rate from that angle. So we're currently on that right now. We work with the National Human Rights Commission. We provide them with documentation of rights violation, and specifically on cases like, I think last year we had a case of kidnapping. We had an academic person who wrote a piece on being LGBT in Nigeria, and he was kidnapped for it. You remember the story? So we literally had to, you know, urge the National Human Rights Commission to carry out investigations and force these people to actually release the victim, which panned out well. Funny enough, we've been producing violations report on a yearly basis, and we've been submitting and, you know, engaging these ministries using the documentation, and we were able to break through, because what the Human Rights Commission actually called the organization to set up meetings with us and encourage continuous documentation of these violations. And even to a certain extent, when we had police officers arbitrarily harassing people and invading their spaces and their gadgets on the street based on their perceived or their real sexual orientation or gender identity expression, we were able to get a petition across to the Inspector General of Police, who then gave out a memo stating every police district, every police headquarters, area command and the likes of them should not have police officers arbitrarily search persons on the street, either based on their sexual orientation or what have you. Because actually looking at it, forget sexual orientation or anything now, it's an invasion of privacy.
It is an invasion.
Why would you want to just call me on the street and say you're a police officer, you want to check my stuff? For what? Do you have a warrant? What are the premise to it? Am I a suspected person in this regard? No, none of these things. But we keep working with them, carry out the advocacy. Right now, we've been doing stuff with the Ministry of Justice. We engage with some of their lawyers at the public Office of the Public Defender, and we try to engage CSOs based on sexual diversity, human rights, and the likes of it. It's slow, but it's working.
You see, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And what for you would be next steps in creating a more inclusive country, so to speak? What for you would be the ideal next steps? What would be the things you would like to see?
My view or my thoughts may be radical, but I think at some point you need to take certain extremes just to make certain things work. South Africa never got proactive laws by just sitting around and just waiting for the laws to come to them. They had to work for it. In so many other countries, Uganda, the likes of them, we need more visibility in Nigeria. It's one thing for CSOs to carry out activities, sensitization workshops, human rights education and the likes of it. But then when the community don't come out to own their own space, it will be hard to own ownership, own visibility and own recognition and ask for rights, lay claims to these things.
Yes.
But currently we don't even have persons, or you can't even hear about the court system having judicial precedence on cases of LGBT cases being sought out in courts and the likes of it. So we need more visibility. We need people to test the courts, test the system, use all the applicable means to get some resolve based on the issue. Mind you, not everything has to work out right. It's not a win. That doesn't have to be a win situation. Even a loss is something.
It's something.
At least it's in the records that there was a case on LGBT issues and the courts actually paid attention to this, gave verdicts on this and made a judgment and things like that. Also, we need human rights organizations that are already, at the pinnacle of it all in Nigeria, doing the work on the mainstream level.
Yes.
To include LGBT issues, because at the end of the day, we are all human beings.
And that is actually the foundation
Exactly.
of the conversation.
That's it.
Now, for LGBT people who are dealing with harassment or who have been, stigmatized or had acts of violence carried out against them, what would you recommend or advise?
I'd say keep your business private.
Okay.
And in instances where you're not being caught in the act, sue these people for all they've got.
Okay.
The justice system is there for you.
Okay.
You are not an illegal entity in Nigeria. Only the activities and the affairs are what's regarded as illegal. So if you know this, and also buy a constitution in the library. Find out, go online, make research, find out what it is to be LGBT in other spaces, and also make comparison with it in this country. Trust me, a little bit of education will do you some good. It will help you in so many ways that you can even think of a phantom.
So what would you say is the future of the LGBT person in Nigeria? Because many people, when they think about being LGBT in this country, their next step is, leaving the country. So maybe the question should be, is there a future for LGBT people in Nigeria?
Of course, there's a silver lining. It might take a while, but there is a silver lining. We've had so many cases, worst of the worst cases, of persons who have been brutalized in this country, and they still remain in this country. We have cases.
I don't know why you're saying brutalized as if people should be happy.
Exactly. It's not something that one should say with joy or with pride, because you are hurting another human being for just being themselves.
True.
And that is like the worst and the low of low. But then in reality, Nigeria is here.
Yes.
They don't it's not just LGBT persons, there are other minority groups that exist in Nigeria.
Yes.
And they exist. You don't have to run out of the country. Trust me, even other countries, people who are LGBT still face reprisal. So it's not like I say, even in proactive countries. So what's the essence? Stay here, develop your country. Like I said, more visibility, show that you exist. Identity is not illegal, it's just the activity. If you understand that, then you can literally lay claim to anything and everything in this country.
And if anybody wants to get in touch with Tears?
Yeah, you can actually reach us on our hotlines.
Great.
We're actually on 0700 9000 8000, 0800 call TS, that's 2255 84377. And on our website, we're www.initiativeforequality.org, and on our social media platform, it's TS Nigeria. So just check us out, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the likes of it. Go check out the works that we do. It's amazing. You yourself will be surprised, and you'll be amazed that a lot of work like this is going on in this country.
Definitely doing amazing work. Thank you so much,
Thank
Yomi,
you very much
for breaking it down. I know that many people probably have no idea that there's so much proactive work being done to make sure that LGBT people continue to live life without harassment, without the violation of their human rights. And it's so important to know the law, to know your rights under the law, because many people who are harassed because they don't know their rights. So please get informed, get in contact with organizations who can provide you support, can provide you access to the kind of information you need, can provide you not just legal support, but also social support. And Tears is doing an amazing job, and we look forward to a world where LGBT people can live without fear of state or non-state harassment, where they know that their rights are as valued as everyone else's. My name is Arit Okpo. Thank you for watching.
We've had about 105 different...
You know, you may come out to your friends and to your family, but you may still not have come out to yourself.
You don't hold the world an explanation for being who you are.
LGBT rights are human rights. Now, somebody called me and said, they said I look gay. I said, what does gay look like?
Ability to be human, access to care, access to housing,
Education.
yes.
There is an agenda.
You can continue to stay at your home battle. You do not need any passport.